Hi, I'm Troy from Studio 33 Guitar. Thanks for watching. Today we're talking about my light bulb moment. When I first started playing guitar, I had the same frustrations that you have. My chords weren't sounding right. I wasn't able to strum properly. I couldn't make the chord changes sound quick or smooth until I figured out this one thing that helped me to play quicker and sound better sooner. When I learned this one thing, I went from being a frustrated beginner to playing some of my favorite songs in no time. I wish someone had shown me this earlier, so that's why I wanted to show it to you here today. The secret really comes down to how you're fretting certain chords. The most popular chords to play on guitar are G, C, D, and E minor. And with those four chords, you can play hundreds of songs. But when I first started playing guitar, I learned how to play a G chord like this. And I learned how to play a C chord like this. Now those are both correct. That is a G major chord and that is a C major chord. But changing from that G chord to that C chord is not an easy change, especially for a beginner. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, you may know where this is going, but I found making this change made a huge improvement on my playing. Instead of playing a G major chord like this, I learned to play it like this. Now that is a very small change, moving from having my ring finger down on this note, moving it up to the next string, and putting my pinky finger down where the ring finger was. The reason that this made such a big improvement was because that G chord is really easy to go to a C add 9 chord. Now again, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know a C add 9 chord looks exactly the same as this, except these two fingers are going to go down to the next set of strings. So now making that chord change from G major to C is super simple. All we're doing is moving these two fingers in the exact same shape, just down to the next string. Now, instead of fighting my fingers to try and get them all into position to make that chord change, it became really simple. And as a beginner, that was really good news. And the great thing is it doesn't end there. If you go on to an E minor chord, traditionally an E minor chord would look like this, either with your two fingers down like this, or maybe even like this. And those are both ways that you can play an E minor chord. But what I learned to do as a beginner was to play an E minor 7 chord, which looks like this. Those two fingers are in that same spot again that they were for the G chord and the C chord. Now for an E minor chord, we just add in our index finger here, the middle finger below it, and it becomes an E minor 7. And that can be substituted for an E minor chord most of the time. And for a D chord, that ring finger gets to stay in that same spot. We're going to lift our pinky off, but the ring finger is in that same spot that it was for all those other chords. So now suddenly making those chord changes from G to C to E minor, D became a lot easier. And with those four chords, you can play hundreds, if not thousands of songs. I have a list of over 200 songs on our website, studio33guitar.com. You can go there and check out that list and see all the songs you can play with those four chords. And then you can add a capo to the neck and you can play even more songs. So if you're a beginner guitar player, I highly recommend that this is how you play those four chords. Stop trying to play a G chord like this and then switch to a C major chord like this, because you're setting yourself up for failure as a beginner. Now, after you get some experience playing, then making that change from a G major to that C major chord won't be that hard. But as a beginner, you want to try and take advantage of things if you can. And this way of playing those chords, of having those common notes between three of those chords, is really helpful. So I guarantee you, if you've been trying to play with a G chord and a C major chord like that, and maybe an E minor chord like this, where your fingers are having to go into different positions for every single chord, stop doing it that way, start trying it this way. And again, once you get comfortable doing it like this, then you'll be able to make other chord changes a lot more easily. But don't start with something really hard and then be frustrated that you can't do it. Start with something simpler and then work up to doing something that's more complicated. I really hope that this made sense and that it helped you out. If it did, please hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.